The Bills, as you know, aren't alone. The only team in their search for another head coach. The Jaguars, the Rams already staring at openings, getting a jump on Black Monday, which is sure to see a few more bodies on the unemployment line. So with that in mind, a little background on, number one, why teams may change, and then a couple of predictions for you. Now, first up, the reasons for change vary quite a bit, but there's one commonality here. In almost every instance, the damage is irreparable, whatever that damage might be. For example, a couple of years ago, remember the Niners? They had a toxic head coach GM dynamic. Trent Baalke and Jim Harbaugh didn't work out. Obvious impetus for change, no doubt. Or say maybe a coach has not shown the ability to develop young talent, particularly at the quarterback spot. Maybe that applies to Gus Bradley. Sometimes owners, they just determine that head coach maybe has lost the locker room. I think that happened to Rex a little bit, or that he's reached his ceiling and he simply isn't the right individual to help the franchise take the next step. And sometimes it is simply, and this gives us immediate gratification, though it really doesn't usually solve anything. Sometimes it is just to appease the fans. There is nothing that gets an owner's attention like empty seats or other forms of apathy. When that happens, you generally know what's coming next. So, what are some of the owners thinking right now pertaining to a few of the head coaching hot seats? Well, here's a couple of predictions for you. First up, Mike McCoy in San Diego. I don't think this ends well for him. Unfortunately for that guy, he stared at a double whammy. Number one, his team progressed. Remember his first year, 9-7. They went to Cincinnati. That Bengals team hadn't lost at home. They were 8-0 in the jungle. They won the wild card game. And every year since then, there's been team regression. So you mix in the fact that the Bolts, in all probability, they're headed to L.A. And generally when a team makes a plunge into a new market, we saw the Rams take a year to do that, but they've done it, they're doing it now. A new voice and a new identity generally follows. So I think Mike McCoy's a good guy. I think he's had some moments, and he also had a lot of injuries to deal with, to be fair. There's a look at a 27-36 in 4 seasons. That kind of is what it is. So, and it's been 3 straight years, no postseason. I believe that he is out of a job. Up next, what about Marvin Lewis in Cincinnati? Well, there's 2 things at play for Marvin Lewis. Number one, what I think should happen and what I think will happen. And with all due respect, it's time for change. Listen, Lewis simply isn't a next-level guy, and his 0-for-7 playoff record illuminates that. But as we get a look what he's done so far, now to be fair to Marvin, he took over and quickly eradicated an incredibly losing culture. So you got to give him credit for that. I'm not trying to bury Marvin Lewis, but look at that second line. Man, that just jumps out like a sore thumb. 0-7, as I said before, did win the Coach of the Year back in 2009. That's on the resume, and that's on the mantle. But Mike Brown is historically cheap, and this is paramount to what I think happens here. So he's got another year left on his deal. Do I think he returns? I do, because I don't think Mike Brown wants to pay 2 guys, especially one who's not working for him. It's been his history. I don't think it changes here. All right, in Chicago, it's coin flip time for John Fox. Really? I don't know what happens here, although I do think he's done a pretty decent job navigating a lot of injuries as they played pretty competitive football for the past 7 or 8 weeks, and they've done that with a third-string quarterback now in Matt Barkley. Remember that? So you had Cutler go down, Hoyer went down. I think this guy deserves one more shot, and I think he probably gets it. I'm not entirely confident with that, but if I have to make a call, I think he's back in the Windy City for one more season. All right, how about San Francisco? Now, this is a mess for a multitude of reasons. Owner Jed York, man, the fans can't stand him. And a lot of the mess is self-created by Jed York. I don't know how much longer they're going to be hugging, to be honest with you. Not only will he be looking for a new GM, Trent Baalke's out. You can take that to the bank. But also, I think that he should absolutely start fresh and clean house of the coaching staff as well. Chip Kelly's system, no longer innovative. It's just kind of boring. Now, remember how I mentioned fan apathy before? Take a look at Levi State. You watch the red zone. You watch the games. You bounce around, right? Crickets. I mean, there is a swath of empty seats. So do I think that they change? I do. I think it's time for a fresh voice and time for a fresh face. Indianapolis. Now, this one's a little murky as well because the owner, Jim Irsay, is just incredibly and utterly unpredictable. So who knows what happens with Chuck Pagano and also with GM Brian Grigson. Personally, I'm dumping this mess of a roster. It is a mess at the GM's doorstep. That is Grigson, who continues to ignore the offensive line. How in the world could you have Andrew Luck as your quarterback and not take the proper steps to protect him? It's football. And the crazy thing, Ryan Grigson played offensive line in college. You would think that he would know that, I don't know, that's kind of important. Anyway, if I'm pressed for a prediction, I think the head coach stays, but I think Grigson goes. There it is. Pagano, good guy, of course, battled cancer. 48-31, 17 wins above the break-even point. I mean, that's pretty good there, but the 3-3 playoff record, a little unflattering, I guess. And obviously, their defense is an absolute mess. They give up a ton of yards, nearly 370 a game. So that's a problem. And how about that? Hey, Todd, you awake? Oh, he's smiling. He must be awake. How emotionless is this guy? Oh, my New York Jets. The only team dumb enough to chase Ryan Fitzpatrick the entire summer. The whole summer they chased Fitzpatrick, somehow thinking miraculously, as we get a look at Bowles' resume, good first year, wretched second year. But at the age of 33, they actually thought that he was ready to break free from being Ryan Fitzpatrick. They did, he didn't, and Todd Bowles, with all due respect, there's just no other way to say it, he is an absolute mess on every conceivable coaching level. Never has his team ready to play quarter one, never makes adjustments at halftime. Guys don't show up to meetings. He looks uninspired at press conferences. He just doesn't look like he's the guy. Hey, but Jet fans, no worries. Guess what? He'll be back. You can bank on that. Why? Because they're the Jets. I want to add this as well. To be fair, to be totally honest with you, it's no fun being callous when it comes to job security. I don't take pleasure in this. I don't enjoy being so blunt in assessing who I think should stay or go. But number one, it's my job. And of equal importance, all these men, they'll be okay. Every one of them has a multi-million-dollar parachute waiting for them if and when they're shown the unemployment line. It's harsh, but it also is the reality of the business.